Welcome to another exciting episode of Humanity 8.0, a podcast where we talk about movements and initiatives that seek to move humanity to its next epochal iteration. This podcast is brought to you by Witlingo. When it comes to managing a community, one of the keys to success is the ability to effectively communicate with the members of that community. If you are a service coordinator or responsible for community engagement, Witlingo provides a multi-channel, multilingual notification and engagement platform to help you work more efficiently and effectively. For more information, please visit www.witlingo.com. That's www.witlingo.com. And now, here's your host, Dr. Ahmed Bouzid.
So one of the things that really outrages me is the fact that there are 33,000 veterans who are homeless in any given year.
That's all that we know.
Yeah, that's all we know. That's all we know.
Yeah, I suspect it's a lot higher than that.
Let's put it at the very, very least, okay, which is already a big number. And number two, this is the one that really messes me up, is the suicide rate amongst veterans is 2.6 times more than the general population. These are the people who went and fought, and sacrificed.
Well, it does mess with your mind to have to do that.
Yeah, it does. It does. And on top of that, the fact that you're homeless.
But they have nothing on the ground to help those folks. I mean, I have a brother who did that. He was in the Army for 20 years. And he was time to get out, man, retirement. Until they said, oh, we're going to invade Iraq. Now we're going to extend you. So he had to go in he was a sergeant, and his supply line was watching the everything getting exploded around him, and then when he come back and they said, oh, that depleted uranium that you have in your body, that won't hurt you. But yet he went mental, man. I mean, that's real. That stuff happens, and they don't do anything about it. Oh, we deny. Oh, there's no. So what? I don't know what your point you're driving at. I know that with not just the 30,000 and the vets, that's a good focus. But realize this: we're the richest country in the world.
Well, that's all. This is what I'm with.
And we've got 1 million hungry and unhoused children in our country. How embarrassing is that?
11 million.
What you say about the vets and the children and the unhoused, man, we should be doing so much better.
Let me dig deeper, because I have some stats here, right? So to house every single one of those veterans, right, it would cost between $495 to $825 million a year. Okay. We sent to Israel since October 7th, we sent them 17.9 billion. Can we take that 0.9 billion and give it to the veterans? Can we do that?
Yeah, just that 900 million, right?
Yeah, just give me that 0.9. You can give them the freaking 17 billion so they can go and continue with their war crimes, right?
And you know how they justify it by saying, well, that money is being used for our weapons makers. So our defense contractors are supposedly the ones getting that money. Well, again, that's another prop up. That's another waste, fraud, abuse opportunity,
Yeah, it's what do you call it? It is a conveyor belt. It's basically money laundering in a way. Sort of,
right? Exactly.
They take the money here and they give it over there, and those guys, they buy it. And it comes back, and then
that's why Julian Assange got in trouble to begin with. He says, look, they aren't in Afghanistan to prevent wars or prevent terrorism. They're here to flush money. That's all they're here for, to give it a place to launder money, man.
It is exactly that. It's laundering money. And then for the kids, I have also some stats. 11 million children, like they said, they go every night hungry, right? And it costs, how much it costs? It costs $24 billion. Right, to feed them, 3 meals.
24 billion?
24 billion to feed them, right? And it so happens that $24 billion is exactly the amount of money that we gave to Ukraine. Okay?
Right, yeah.
I am with the people of Ukraine and all that and all that and all that. But you know what? Why are we spending? I mean, that war is going to end. We know how it's going to end. It's going to end with negotiations, period. Why don't we negotiate now? Negotiate. Figure it out.
Well, it's either going to end with that or a nuclear bomb.
Well, I'm going to stay away from some.
Yeah, you're going positive. That's good.
positive. I don't want, like you said at the very beginning, it's very important to have hope and to strive for it and do the
Right.
best that you can
Exactly.
until we all, are vaporized, right? Until then,
Right. Right.
we'll keep on fighting.
Well,
But
that's
yeah,
why the oligarchs who were looking down, it's funny how the big two parties had their conventions, right?
yeah,
And they're in the big sports arena. And the rank and file folks are on the floor. Those are the ones that are going to go out and knock on the doors and try to drum up votes, right? But
right,
up in the swing suites up above, where all the oligarchs looking down saying,
yeah,
"Oh, so you're going to raise money on the rich? Yeah, good luck with that, So it's
right.
just so funny how the even within the parties themselves, there's a stratification of society. These are the people that are building the safe rooms and buying all the agriculture so they can protect themselves in case of a nuclear
Oh yeah,
uh,
oh yeah, oh yeah. They have Jeff
event.
Bezos and all those people. They have bunkers.
Right.
Their biggest problem right now. I mean, the biggest problem for those bunkers is those bunkers need to be staffed, right? And the staff
Right.
and the staff is, it's the regular folks, right? And those regular folks have families and so on. So what they have, I mean, I read these articles, amazing. They thought things through. They have to like make sure that they know where everybody is. If there's some kind of like apocalypse, because are they going to rebel against them within? So
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
and,
yeah.
and so it is,
It's like back to the Twilight Zone
back to
episodes,
the
man.
Twilight Zone. Are they, they cannot protect themselves. It's stupid that they think that they can actually go underground for years and live there. Instead,
Right,
instead,
right.
instead of, okay, we have enough money. Let's make sure everybody's happy. Let's make sure that it's not hard to do. But I don't understand. Is it greed? Are you become blind? Do you think you're God? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
you would think that the billionaires class would want a good, stable society, one that's not violent,
Right.
because it's eventually going to creep up to them. I mean, it's going
Yeah.
to reach them at some point.
And
So
plus, yeah,
stability is good for business in general, and that's
exactly.
that's what's baffling to me that people, even
Exactly.
the business people, won't look beyond. Like,
The
what are
core.
you getting from these two parties, man? They're just stirring trouble. Is that good for business? I mean,
It's
no.
not. I mean, the sort of the cash cow that they've created is gonna die, right?
Right.
Just maintain it, all right? Make sure. And plus, if you have a middle class, there's money to spend on. They will go to restaurants.
Exactly.
They'll buy
People are a
stuff,
lot happier. There's a lot less violence.
and they buy, and they build, and they become smarter, and they educate, and your society goes up, and you make more money, and so
Right.
on and so forth. The middle class is the way to prosperity, not this huge divide where you have
Exactly.
folks who
Yeah.
are petrified of losing their job, and you have folks up there who just don't understand at all why people are angry.
Yeah.
Mm.
People living paycheck to paycheck. That's not the best model for
No,
continuing a
and it's not
wealthy
it's
country.
not only the paycheck to paycheck, it's the fact that you are at peril. You get one diagnosis, everything, the bankruptcy. What is it?
Yeah.
68% of bankruptcies, personal bankruptcies are due to medical bills.
Healthcare. Yeah.
And so people are day in and day out living in a state of anxiety, right?
Right.
So how can they
Exactly.
have a healthy and so how
Which
you
is
think?
why you said the veterans' suicide rates are higher, but also the
2.3,
young people
2 point.
too,
Yeah,
because of the lack of hope, man.
exactly. If you don't give hope, people right now are looking for once again change, radical change. I would become very worried if people start looking for nothing, meaning they have given
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Stop looking altogether. Right. Yeah,
There
that's
is this
dangerous.
guy. His name is he wrote a he was his name um uh sorry, I'm forgetting his name. So he wrote books about the Holocaust. So he was imprisoned in those concentration camps, right? And then so everything was rationed and people had cigarettes, and so they were very careful with their, right? And then he said, uh when you see someone, right, all of a sudden, and they have four cigarettes and you ration them till the next batch, right? When you see someone starts to smoke cigarette and then smoke another one immediately, means he has given up hope. That's it. Right? He
Yeah,
has given
just
up
little
hope.
subtle signs like that,
Yeah,
right?
that's a sign he has given up hope. And usually he said those people usually, they will. they will misbehave.
So they don't even look at tomorrow
They don't
as
care
if
anymore,
tomorrow's
and
not even
then
going to be there. Right.
how am I going to be there? So they just let me enjoy myself now. That he said that for
That
and you know,
that's
it
yeah,
means
that is an eye-opening thing, man.
and it means that they're gonna die soon because they misbehave and they get caught by the guys and so on. They don't care anymore.
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
watching. They're not trying to
At this
survive.
point, they're ready to check out.
Yeah, they're ready to check out, and so they might as well. So they're sort of committing suicide in a way, right? And
Wow,
so that
that's
was
interesting.
really
Yeah.
for me. It was very poignant the way he said that when he starts seeing people behave like that, and we see people behave like that in terms of they don't care about their health anymore, and I'm gonna binge eat, binge watch, binge whatever, do whatever, right? I'm gonna drink, I feel good.
Don't care about society.
Don't care about this or forget about society, who cares, right? And so you have this this kind of this uh dystopia that emerges, from that state, and that's where we're going. And then question becomes what. So let's try to end on a full note, right? The fact that you are struggling, that meaning you're pushing, you are in the struggle, you're trying to put a coalition, you're putting a coalition, right? um let me ask you, what kind of things need to happen for a much better scenario to evolve so that in, say, 6 8 years we're in a better place? What needs to happen in your opinion that would move the needle in the right direction?
Well, citizen involvement, civics in general. Look, right now, when one generation doesn't teach the next generation civics, then they lose their liberties. But not only that, they don't even know that they lost any liberties, right?
True, that's even worse.
So
Yeah.
so if you can focus on getting people more attuned to the obligations of our republic, how to keep the republic going. People have to at least say, okay, I'm willing to commit 5% of my time to keep the republic going. I'm willing to listen to the other side of an argument to see what motivates them. Let's be better listeners. And if in general society started talking to each other rather than being polarized and rather than finding boogeymen and finding retribution as the answer and stuff like that, it's the bigger picture. So how do we? What's the systematic approach to that? It's starting with the election reform. It's fixing the things at the peripheral that we can fix, like getting elections more reasonable, getting more participants so that not half of the races are unopposed. Just getting citizens to realize that, okay, if I have an obligation to participate, that means that some of us are going to have to get on the ballot and challenge for political office. That's part of it. We're going to have to get more involved in community events. We're going to have to, you know, look out for our neighbors. Just little things like that. We have to bond back together and act like, okay, we may not be economically a middle class, but let's make sure we're a middle class socially. Let's make sure that we're not throwing arrows and daggers at each other, and
Yeah.
that we just embrace each other, man. That's we're neighbors in this fight together. So let's embrace and work together on some of the things in common. Yeah, we may have 8 out of 10 things that we disagree on, but let's agree to disagree and find those 2 things we do agree on, and let's start there as a place to start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is that I think we agree on far more than 2 out of 10. I think if we really
Exactly.
do. I mean,
Well, that's because we don't listen, so we'll never know, right?
because there is a show going on right now on TV,
Right.
right? The
Yeah.
Blues versus the Reds. And then we
Right.
call
Right.
ourselves the Reds, and they are the Blues, or we are the Blues and they are the Reds. And so there's a whole dynamic that evolves. But the thing that's interesting that sort of I learned is that at the local level, when it comes to things running, the roads and the security and all that, you know, if we were really that polarized, there would be no police, there would be no water, garbage would not be picked up and all that. And yet all of that is working. So clearly at the local level, it's or far less divisive, even if they have a well, ideology. But when it comes to, like, okay, the water, and when it comes to,
Right.
you know
Right.
protection of the police, when it comes to all of that, there is definitely at least functional consensus amongst the people. So it's there, the infrastructure is there. The question is on the big issues, like we need to pass a gun assault weapons ban, or we need to pass federal minimum wage, right? when it gets to that level, the circus comes in, right?
Yeah.
They start, slogans. Oh, big, they don't need to be coherent. They just need to make sound, sounds,
Right.
sound, the right
True.
sounds. And all of a sudden you have this boom, and then you have a gridlock. Like I said, it helps the status quo. But the reason why I'm continuing to be optimistic is exactly that point about how things continue to work. Our cities should not be in the state that they are, but even with the lack of money and all that, people are decent to each other in general. Really, I mean, they are. Even you go to the south and all that, where you're supposed to be afraid of this and that. I've driven through Alabama and all that, and everything is fine. It's just people. They have other things to do than to talk about politics. They have life to do. And so I'm hopeful that the infrastructure remains there. I just hope that we don't get vaporized by this war out there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. Well, on that hopeful note, listen. So right now, do you tell folks very quickly about what are the two things if you were if you were to be in Congress, in January 2025, somehow you got a seat. What would you do given your mission, right? What would you, what's the would you introduce a bill? What would you do? Like two things we would do that are top of mind for you if you get elected.
Well, if I had to push for two bills, it would be probably to end the gerrymandering and to balance the budget. So those two things, because if you end gerrymandering, now you're going to get a chance to have competitive elections and
Yeah.
more qualified people stepping up without such a high bar, right? To consider running for office. So that'd be one. And then that way you can get better people in or fresh, proactive people that aren't just answering to the money, they're answering to the people.
Yeah.
And then the balance of budget thing is so important, man. That is a value statement of our country.
Of course, yeah, your
The
values are
values of our country are reflected in our budget.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
if we can't tell the future generations that we're not going to leave a dark cloud hanging over them, that's pathetic. We are not serving the way we should be. Nobody is serving properly if they're allowing that to happen right now. And the future generations, like you say, that if they see brighter future rather than a dark cloud, then they will have hope. And so that's the all trickle down effect. So those two things would be the first things I'd try to fix, and then I think they fix a lot of other things if you can address those two.
Well, given because I think that there is the point of are you going there to advocate or going there to see how you can have something happen, maybe even small thing happen that will make the next thing possible, meaning strategically or tactically, right? Is there something
Right.
specific? Have you thought through like, getting gerrymandering, that's a huge, get opposition because it's just not doable.
Yeah, but there's already bills that have been sponsored. The one that all the Democrats voted for and passed over the Republicans' opposition. No Republican voted for it. It was John Lewis bills, I think, voting rights and stuff. There were a couple of them bills that got sent to the Senate, then they
Okay.
stalled. So
Okay.
you're right. As one person in Congress, it's going to be very hard to do anything because the system is so broken
Yeah.
and so skewed against us and the status quo. But again, that's the noise where I would try to get some people behind me to push for those things. So I realize as one person, there's very little I can do. And the system is so broken. You could keep electing good people, but they're going to get broken by the system too. So I mean, you could almost say AOC was a good person when she was a Green. She was running as a community organizer. And next thing you know, she turns around and now she's in the back pocket of the
Totally.
Israelis
Yeah.
too, right?
Totally. I mean, yeah, I mean, she's the least, awful over there, but I
Right.
think she's a disappointment big time in that she didn't stick to her guns and remain what
Right.
she was. I think she was,
Attack dog against Jill Stein. Like,
yeah, now she's
okay,
become that.
once upon a time we got her elevated by using the green platform, and now even though she stole the Green New Deal from the Greens and didn't know what to do with it because, you know, she hadn't figured out where she wasn't really committed to it. But so that's just so artificial now, and that's coming bubbling up. Now we see through the veil of artificialness, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that bothers me, or sort of both bothers me and gives me hope, is that there is so little creativity in how people are sort of trying to shake the system, right? What I mean by that is this: we understand the media. The media go for loud, they go for whatever, right? Um, um, if I were to be elected as independent, I don't know, I would wear a clown suit and get attention to myself. No, seriously,
Right.
I would find a way to get these people to, like, that's the Don Bot thing that we did, right? You know,
Yeah, we've
it's
had people do that. I remember people were running in the first district in Virginia and or maybe the seventh. And when the incumbent wouldn't debate us, they put on a chicken suit and followed him around at the county fair, and they
yeah,
got some attention.
no,
And you're right, man. The
if I were
bigger picture is this: what you're doing with the whole thing about the people's branch of government. That's Mike Gravel came up with a good
yeah.
idea like that. And I love your idea, man. You should tell us about your idea again.
Oh, well, it's a very simple idea. It's a very simple idea. It's basically having your a representative be nothing more than a pure avatar of the people, and their finger doesn't get commandeered by their brain. It gets commandeered by what they see in the screen. 51% of people want you to say yay, and you say yay, and that's it. So nobody's gonna want to buy you because you're useless to them. Like, why would they give you money to a campaign, right?
Yeah, that's good, man. So
Right?
you managed
So
to
all
get
of a sudden,
money
de
out of it.
facto, you take the money out. As soon as you take that money out, a lot of things start to happen, meaning people start to do the right thing. And if I were elected, let's say I ran, I was elected, that's it. A lobbyist comes to me and say, I'm gonna give you $1 million. Thank you, give me the $1 million, but I can't do anything with it because my decisions are from these people, right? They are, and nobody can blame you. That's the beauty. Nobody can say, hey, I say I'm committed to the value of democracy. I'm not a lefty or a righty, or whether I believe in women's reproduction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I believe. What I'm here for is to actually do exactly the bidding of the people. Would you like me to do the bidding of the people, or would you like me to be the bidding of the rich people? So no, you should do the bidding of the people. So therefore, leave me alone. Let me do my job, right?
Wow,
Uh,
that's powerful, man. That's
right.
so
So
Mike Gravel had that idea too. The fourth branch of government should be the people. So what's
exactly.
the website? You have a website for that?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for for, for helping me out here. Yeah, it's true. It's called TrueRep.com. TrueRepresentation.com. Anyway, I will definitely put it in the in show notes. But what I think is important to note is that the reason why that idea, right, the book that you showed, right, and I will put a link to that book as well. Why that idea is now doable is because we have technology that allows us to do things like transact money through an app. If I can trust an app to send $1,000 and it will get there every single time, and if it doesn't get there, I get alerted and I'm safe and all that. And if I use it multiple times a day, I'm sending money here and there. Now, if I can do that, why can't I vote? Why can't I get,
Yeah,
information?
exactly. Why can't we, you're right. The technology is there. Everyone should be able to vote without even having to register.
And not once
And
every 2 years or every 4 years. You get involved, like you said at the very beginning. Get involved. It would be fun to get a notification that says, "Hey, there's a bill. Here's a summary for the bill. Here's the full way if you want to read. What do you think? Yay or nay? Yay." Right? All
right.
of a sudden, I feel good about myself. I have,
And your idea, even I think when I drilled down into it, you were even finding a good representation of people to be on the voting block, right? Like you said,
only
something
working
like a
class.
thousand people.
Working class, only working class, right? So the
I got
whatever money we raise is going to go into vetting these people. They are working class, right?
you.
Care about affiliation politically. They're just working class. That's all I want because
That's yeah.
what I know is that the working class they share the same values. They
It's
care.
definitely our most important constituency.
Yeah, they have solid values. They work, right?
Right.
And they take care of their children. and they're not even in trouble, right? So and then there's the last thing is the following, is that scientifically proven studies, right? That you take a crowd of people, right? When you ask them for a decision, that decision, 90+% is going to be the right one that has all the elements. It's not short term, it's long term. It's just a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like,
If it's an educated decision, yeah.
it's
If it's
exactly
not
the same.
mob rule, it's
No, it's
it's
not.
an
The thing I'm
educated
talking about
decision.
middle class. These are people who can read, right? Whatever they can think and
Right.
all that. No, they have, and they, so that decision is going to be much saner, right? And less insane than these kinds. Like, let's send more money to these morgues. They'll say no.
Right.
Okay, it's enough. Go negotiate. Okay, go negotiate, and that's it. And the rep says no, no more money over there. And then the thing is this: nature tells us the ants, right? They build these complex, farms, right? The bees, right? No one of them knows more than a little bit, right? But collectively, they're able to do these things. If you look at the school of fish and how they move, is there a leader there? No. Somehow
Right.
there's this emerging intelligence that happens and nobody can explain it. And the last thing is this: right now, the reason why this is becoming very doable is when you hear about AI, right? AI is nothing more than a collection of a lot of data, and somehow intelligence emerges. It's not a set of rules. It's not like a constitution and the rules and this and that. It's just a lot of data, right, from which intelligence emerges. That a lot of data in the political is the intelligence or the input from the citizens. If you have decisions weighing on a bill, the right decision will be made. And so I think all the forces are here. Time of just advocating for it and pushing it and so forth and so forth. But thank you for your interest. I'm grateful that you you find it interesting enough to talk about it. Um, Anything else you want to tell your voters, about you, why they should vote for you?
Well, this was an outstanding opportunity. I always appreciate the chance for people to ask that question, like, why do I do this? And back in '04 when I first ran for Congress, I would say, okay, I got a 1-year-old kid who could live into the next century, which he still could. He's in his 25 now, right? And that's why we do it. I mean, our kids, our
Right.
grandkids, we have to think down the road. That's the strategy, right? We're not doing this for us. I could check out tomorrow, man, and
We've done enough, you and I,
but
right? Enough
but
damage.
uh, but the fact that what legacy are we leaving them? I mean, how embarrassing is it to say, yeah, I voted for war. What are you going to do about it? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just I can't stand by it. You see all the books. I'm a writer. I research this stuff, and the closer you get to it, the more you realize the problems, and no one's fixing them, the more I'm motivated to do something about it. I just can't stand by and watch it happen. I can't look my kids in the eye and say, sorry, I didn't do anything for you.
Yep.
But my objective to leave a world that's better than you talk about the middle class a lot. We came up through a period of time when we were usually better off than our parents. Well, that's not happening anymore. And that loss of hope is a real thing. So that's what we're pushing on the envelope for, to say, look, you've broken the systems enough that the next generations are not having hope, are not going to have as cleaner air, cleaner water, cleaner soil. They got poisons in their food. Let's fix these problems now. Let's fix why they're sick, why they don't have their health.
Yeah.
Let's fix this stuff now so that in the next generation or two can live better than we did. That's the whole objective of life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's sort of the value to follow, and I always appreciate somebody who goes beyond words, because it takes a lot of effort to run, day in and day out, to convince and to say the same thing and advocate. Now, it's just a lot of effort. And so I'm always very honored to speak to people like yourself. And I'm just starting to do this, and I'm realizing how much work somebody like you has been doing it for a while. I really have a lot of admiration for you and for folks like you who are committed, beyond words, right? You're not just talking, you're doing, right?
Thank you, brother. It's good to form alliances. That's what we're doing,
Oh
man.
yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. I'm going to I'm trying to do my best to get these two folks who are in Independence, Virginia, to join the alliance. I'm gonna tell
Right.
them, give me a reason why you shouldn't. Give me one reason. I don't think they
Right.
got a reason not to join, and so they will join. And hopefully, anybody I encounter who is how many people you have now in this alliance?
Well, we have six, but we haven't really reached out to everybody. So it's sort of new. We just put it out in the media last week, and we know we're running a little bit late on the season, but
There's
but
no
our
late.
target, we're already targeting
Yeah,
25 for Virginia's governor
25,
race,
26. It's a
6
long
for
game.
congressional. So yeah, it is definitely a long game,
It's a
and
long
that's the
game,
whole.
and you have six now. Before you know it, you have 12, 20, right?
And that's why I ask people not to waste their vote on either R or D now. Make it a strategic vote
Yeah,
now that's
yeah.
that's for the future.
Yeah, and then if somebody, instead of getting 1%, they get 5%, people will start to say, "Wait a minute." I mean, the media is always looking for a story after the election. Say, who made the big splash? It's the independents who actually tripled their vote. They will, and if
Exactly.
we push, and we have to push that story. I have to
Right.
connect with
Exactly.
journalists I know
Yeah,
and
so
say,
they can blame it on us when they lose, right?
whatever, it's fine. It
We'll
means,
take it. Hey.
what's more important. What's least no, the thing
Yeah,
you
more
want
important to get press because no press is bad press.
is to show. I'm hoping, unfortunately, I'm hoping that Harris loses, number one, and I'm hoping that they will blame it on the Arab Americans. Okay, why do I say that? Because it means that all of a sudden the Arab Americans have
Now they have power.
have power, and you know what this country and every country respects the most? They respect power. That's
Yeah,
it.
that leverage is key.
And that's why I'm really sort of depressed a little bit about how the African American vote, which has 10, 12% of the vote, maybe more, right? Especially in the Democratic Party, has not decided to sacrifice an election in the 80s or the 90s and say, no, we're gonna show you that if we decide to have you lose, you're done. And so do A, B, and C. And if in the next election you don't do A, B, and C, we are going to actually either stay at home. If they stay at home, if African Americans, if 10% of them stay at home, they're cooked, the Democrats.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's so funny that, obviously you can't put any group in one
no, you
monolithic.
can't, but 90% of them
But
are
but
Democrats.
those folks who were true descendants of the slave times, and there is a party out there talking about reparations for those folks, and
Yeah.
that's Jill Stein. That's the Green Party, and
And why
that's
aren't they?
what's hard to imagine that those folks don't even look. Well, you want a black agenda? There's one right there,
Right.
sitting in front of you that
Yeah.
you could cast a vote for, and
Yeah.
rather than hold your nose and decide you got to vote against something,
Yeah.
and give that party a chance to continue the
Yeah.
not working for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know about the Green Party. Why aren't they? They should be out there like you. Like, okay, it's not election time. It's every day. It's go out and talk about the issues time, not only every 4 years. And so she shows up every 4 years. And why don't they have more seats? Right? These guys, they have enough.
Ooh, the
Green.
Greens?
Yeah.
Well, they actually are out there every year. They are a grassroots organization, and the reason that she reappears every 4 years is because you have to. Because remember I told you have to have that 5% statewide vote. Well, if you don't get that, you don't get ballot status. So she does have to
It does
show up
have
every
to,
4 years.
but
But
they
it
should.
wasn't that it was her that showed up every 4 years.
Yeah.
We had a different candidate in
Yeah.
2020. He wasn't worth. He
Yeah.
wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And this
True.
time, West could have been that candidate, but he bailed out and chose a different route. So just the weirdness of the way that people treat the third parties and act. Jill came back in as a backup. She was like, okay, well, if no one's going to do this, it's left to me, and I can't just leave a void here. So she jumped back in, and
Sure.
I give
Sure.
her credit for that. That's
I
that's
do. I
a
do. I do also.
I
I do.
mean, it's the same reason I jumped back in. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this. There should be Gen Z people doing this. There should
Yeah.
be people AOC's age. Right now, there's only one AOC, but there should be 60 based on the percentage of the population. in Congress right now, and that's the generation that needs to get involved, step
Well,
up.
the incumbency, the fact that you have, like this Don Buyer who has no really, he has zero chance of losing, has, I don't know, $1.6 million in his war chest, and the second one has like 20, I don't know. Even the
Yeah, the
Republicans,
bar is so high to try to
like
run within those
so the
parties.
question is, why do you have that money? Like it's just, you know what it is? It's a bazooka. It says, don't even think about it, right? Even to
Exactly.
you,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
bazooka. That's
You
all.
got a fort, you got the weapons. Let them come at you with spears, and what are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
worried
So let
about?
them whatever, but they just have to be a reasonable guy. Go do something else. Don't waste your time trying to challenge me. I'm too busy even to show up for a debate. So that's his
Right.
attitude, and it's sort of the attitude
Right.
everywhere. Anybody who is an incumbent is behaving like that. Joe, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir, Ahmed. Thank you
I've
for the
learned a lot.
opportunity, sir.
I've learned a lot, and let's stay in touch. And definitely, I will now that I'm telling you, when I saw that email, I got really excited. I said alliance. Oh, and I don't think we need another party. And it just if we had
Yeah, this is more of a movement, not a party per se.
exactly if we had 400, is it 435? Is it that number in Congress?
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
had 435 independents, right?
Right.
Everyone just conversing and then everything is being conversations, not blocks. Oh, this country would be, we wouldn't have all these nightmares that we have today with the children and the veteran. We would not, because they would be doing their work. They'd be negotiating at small level. No, no coalitions. No,
They'll be piecing together coalitions. You're right.
they
And the
would be exactly.
community
They'd be
and the
solving.
people in the communities would want to be participants.
Exactly, because then there's hope that we can solve this problem. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, there's no gridlock because there's no big monsters talking to each other about
Right.
and the
Exactly.
conversation would be completely different, totally different. It will be about
Exactly.
the minutia problem, which is exactly how things should go, right? Solve
I'm glad you
the
see
bottom.
that, brother, because that's the vision that we have to paint, and it's really hard to get that vision to the rest of the public.
But the thing is, the vision is, I think, has now ears. People want to listen to hear it. They want to hear something new, number one.
Right.
Number two, it's easy to articulate. I think it's easy to articulate. Imagine, just tell them imagine. People imagine. And third, repetition, repetition, repetition. Everybody has to be on the same, like even each one of those six, and if we become 20, the 20, we have to be on the same page, the same talking points, wherever we pop up, so that people associate independent with that vision, which I like, right? I think that level of
Right.
coordination is what's needed. And I'm hoping that between now and 2026, we're going to start moving towards that. All these, we form sort of this independent, and everybody has to be independent, meaning I belong to no group. I don't caucus with no one, right? I talk, I
Right.
negotiate.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
And then if people, because what they're looking for now is yet again change. They want to change from Bush to Obama. They got it. There was no change. They said, I want to change from Obama to, they didn't get it. Well,
Right.
let's say, okay, here's change. Because change means hope. And hope is fuel that allows us to get up
Yeah,
and
right now all the system is doing is changing from one head of the snake to another head of the snake. It's
there will be
not
no change
really
whatsoever
the
when
body of the snake is still the same, man.
it is the same snake. It's one side is red and the other side is blue,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And people see, oh, I like this side, I like that side. But when you look at it, it's the same beast, the
Right.
same beast
Exactly.
across the board.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, keep up the good work, brother.
Let's keeping on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Peace to you as well. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Humanity 8.0 with your host, Dr. Ahmed Bouzid, founder and CEO of Witlingo.